I usually work from home and only see people through Zoom or FaceTime. It's not that I don't like the people or the city, I'm not even against public transport. It's just that a couple of years ago I was hit by a car and I lay there for several months. I was healed physically, but I was left with something called hypermetabolism, which meant I was hungry all the time. Not just hungry, I mean. I faint if I don't eat constantly. I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, but try to find small, healthy snacks that taste good enough to eat every hour or so. Well, how many granola bars can you take with you, let alone eat? Anyway, I had a meeting with a major client and had to visit the worksite in person. July in New York can be wonderful, or it can be terrible during what is called the Bermuda effect. In summer, the high front is off the east coast, just above Bermuda. This causes hot, humid air to swirl around in what we New Yorkers call the city hot and humid. Typically, the week starts with rising temperatures and humidity throughout the day, with clouds forming earlier and earlier each day for about 7 or 8 days. Then a heavy downpour in the middle of the day and everything goes back to normal, or sometimes it starts all over again. My client purchased an apartment in a new high-rise building in Pencil Tower, and I needed to inspect the property so we could measure and finalize the glazing plan. I'm a glass consultant. I design, supervise fabrication, and supervise delivery and installation of architectural glass. Architectural glass is something other than a standard window or door and can be anything from a crystal lamp base to a huge seamless window or wall 10 feet high by 65 feet wide. The job required new glass countertops for the giant kitchen, a glass waterfall in the atrium that cascaded from the roof 3 stories to a pond in the living room, custom seamless sliding doors, and huge insulated windows on all 4 sides for 3 stories. I just got off the subway, and less than 2 blocks later, I was already sweating like I'd run a marathon. The building's doorman greeted me and I introduced myself. He called to make sure he could send me upstairs. While he was talking on the phone, a woman with a child ran past and then immediately returned, calling for someone who was waiting in the car. "Sorry, Mom. I can't believe I left it upstairs. I'll just take it and come right down." Well, you know what I mean. The doorman directed me upstairs, so the woman and I entered the elevator together, and I asked, "What floor?" "Oh, 107, please." I smiled and pressed 107 and 129. "Are you the new owner? We heard that this apartment has finally been sold." No, I'm just a glazing consultant. The design contains several atypical glass elements. We fell into a friendly silence, and after looking at her for a minute, we did what most people do and looked at the numbers. The elevator was fast and moved well. I was surprised that everything seemed so quiet. This thought had just occurred to me when a loud bang was heard above us, and the elevator car began to shake. She quickly slowed down, stopped, and began to fall. In the short moment it took for us to look at each other, he screeched to a stop. The emergency brakes worked," I said. She looked scared. "What the hell happened?" "I don't know, but we are safe. The elevator has a braking system separate from the usual mechanics, which turns on. So it seems that the cable got caught or even broke. We slowed down and began to descend. They started to fall." "Well, yes, the elevator began to fall, but the automatic braking system was activated, and we are safe." We both sighed, and she pressed the intercom button, then pressed it a few more times. Damn. She sighed and pressed the intercom button again, and someone answered. We hear you. What happened and when can we—" She was lost in thought, so I continued. "When can we get help? When will they get us out of here?" "We are trying to find out what happened, and we will contact you as soon as we can." "Were you or Ms. Pace hurt?" I looked at her. She shrugged and shook her head. "No, we weren't hurt. But we really need to get out of here as quickly as possible." "I understand. We just need to figure out what happened, so we can make sure it's safe to open the doors." "Okay. Please keep in mind that we're up here with little emergency lighting, stuffy, no fan, and waiting impatiently. Keep us updated constantly." "Oh, God. I have to get a message to my mom. She's right in front of the building. Please tell her I'm okay and that there are a couple bottles in the diaper bag. Damn, maybe she should just go to her place, and I'll call her. Okay, Miss Pace, we will let her know. Sir, we will inform the penthouse about the current situation. Thank you, please keep us informed, even if it's not very good news. Hello, Miss Pace, I'm Bob. Hi. She was clearly nervous. Don't worry, we'll be fine. I'm fine. I'm just a little worried about my son and my mother, and I had nothing to say. I simply took off my sports jackets, laid them out, and motioned for her to join me as I sat on them. She shrugged and just sat down on the floor opposite me and closer to the intercom. We didn't talk at first, so I had a chance to actually look at her. She was fit, I thought, for someone who had recently given birth. She was wearing a loose top with a front that seemed to crisscross itself and a fairly short but loose, lightweight skirt. I thought this must be cooler than my jeans, polo shirt, and discarded sports jacket. We sat in silence for a while, just thinking. It seemed strange to sit there without talking, so I started asking about her baby, saying that I was sure her weekend plans would work out anyway. She said she planned to visit her mother for a few days and was looking forward to relaxing and being away from the city. I explained what job I was here for, and she seemed interested, or at least distracted from our situation, as I handed her my phone to look at the renderings. We tried calling, but neither of us had a consistent or strong enough signal. Perhaps 30 minutes passed before a voice came over the intercom. This is Chief Weber, New York Federal District. How are you guys? I nodded to her and she replied, We are fine. It's getting hot and I really need to get out of here quickly. I understand, but our main concern should be everyone's safety. The cable appears to have become twisted, causing a loop to form around the frame. The weights eventually broke the cable. Right now, you are between floors with a web of cables above you. So we can't open the doors and it's not safe to go down until we clear or secure the cables. I'm afraid this will take some time. The intercom went silent. Hunger gradually began to creep in on me. I have some granola bars. I handed her one of them. Thank you, this will help. Sorry, I didn't think to bring milk. The strangest thing happened. She started laughing and giggling, repeating milk several times. I just shrugged because I didn't get the joke. Sorry, it's just, I have a lot of milk. And she started laughing again. Fine. Sorry, I'm sure it won't be a problem. It's just that nursing mothers continue to produce milk 24/7, and it's been a few hours since the pressure has eased. I looked at her and then realized what she was saying. I reached out and pressed the intercom button. Hey, you're going to have to get us out of here. Hello? Sorry, sir. As you can imagine, it's quite busy here. Are you okay? I'm fine, but the lady is under pressure. She needs to get out of here. Ms. Pace giggled and quietly repeated, under pressure. I sat down again. Then he pressed the intercom button again. Hey, excuse me, but could you ask the guys above us to drop off a few bottles of water? Good idea, sir. Okay, I'll open the hatch. It took them half an hour, but we heard a distant attention as someone tried to throw water bottles into the cabin hatch. Some even hit the elevator, and I caught a couple to keep them from hitting the elevator floor. So we sat in the pale light, getting warmer and warmer, talking occasionally, sipping water, and finishing my granola bars. While we were talking, I learned that she was a single mother. Her husband was killed in an ambush in Afghanistan. He had only been there a few days when it happened. Then, just 2 days later, she found out she was pregnant. She didn't even have the opportunity to tell him that he would become a father. It was a difficult time. Although only about 20 months had passed, she was grieving her loss. Her 11-month-old daughter was both a dream come true and a nightmare. She loved her very much, but admitted that it was difficult for her to raise her on her own. Oh, her mom helped when she could, but she lived on Long Island, so she couldn't help with the daily chores. I think I indulged her perhaps more than I should. I told her that I was sure she was doing well and that she should trust me, although she politely pretended that she did not believe that I was a grandfather with 4 grandchildren. I mentioned that I was recovering from a hit-and-run accident, but I needed to do some work upstairs. I explained hypermetabolism to her, and of course she immediately scolded me for sharing my granola bars. It was now hotter than anyone would consider comfortable. Even though I had taken off my sports jacket earlier, we were both sweating through our clothes. Her silk chiffon top and skirt were stuck to her body, and I could see her bra and legs through the wet material. I didn't stare, but I couldn't help but notice. A few hours later, with fairly regular updates, the fire chief was back online. "Well, guys, we're doing the best we can, but this is a mess. And while we're going to continue like this, you should try to get comfortable. We're putting together a couple of packages. Outside there are blankets, some more water, snacks, and sandwiches." Having said this, we heard the dull and bouncing sounds of packages. I don't know how many they dropped, but only 3 made it to the elevator. 1 fell through the hatch, 2 remained on the roof. I had to lift Ms. Pace up so she could reach them. Did I mention she was wearing a rather short, loose skirt? I thought about it, but lowered my eyes when I picked it up. She giggled a little when she said, "I got it." And then she added, "And thanks for not peeking." I smiled and we opened the packages. We both had the same thought. With a few extra bottles of water, we could save one. So we opened 1 each and poured them over our heads. The cool water felt so good and my view of her underwear improved. We laid out 1 blanket. I folded another and tucked it behind her back. As she leaned forward to make room for me, she moaned for the first time. "Are you okay?" "Well, yes. Sort of. Yes, no. Actually, it's hard to explain. I'm kind of full. I'm always hungry, so don't worry, I'll eat some snacks." Then it dawned on me. "Oh shit, you're talking about—" I waved my hand back and forth. "They're full. Oh damn. Oh damn. What can you do?" "It'll be fine, it's just really uncomfortable and it's starting to get a little painful. But I'll be fine." "What about empty bottles? Can you use them to get some relief?" "Haha. It doesn't work like that. If I squeeze them, a little comes out, but not enough. I need my pump or my baby. Or maybe not. You could— No, I shouldn't ask. You wouldn't have to drink it. Just suck it up and spit it out into empty bottles. Sorry, I know it's crazy, it's just getting awkward." We sat quietly and ate our food when she said, "Well, what do you think?" Of course I sat there with spinning brains and open mouth when she simply said, "Please?" I must have looked like an idiot when I said something like, "Sorry, of course. It's okay. Of course I can do it. You need help. I can help you. Help ease your pain. It's okay. Of course, of course." She smiled and said, "So that means yes?" "Yes, of course. How do we do this?" She unrolled and spread the other blanket so it lay on the floor and in her lap. She straightened the one she was leaning on, folded up my sports jacket, put it on her lap, and leaned back in the corner. She made me put my head on her leg while she unbuttoned her top and then, with a snap, was able to unclasp her bra and move it out of the way. In front of me were 2 of the most beautiful breasts I had ever seen. It took a few tries, but I finally figured out what I needed to do to make it work. It was strange and wonderful, tender and sexy. To be honest, I was hungry, so spitting it into the bottle never occurred to me. Once I got used to the taste and temperature, I breastfed peacefully. I even fell asleep a couple of times until she stroked my head and face and quietly said, "We need to switch sides." Instead of standing up, I moved a little further over her lap while she turned her shoulders and other breast toward me. After a few more turns to get comfortable, we ended up on our sides. Her head was lying on one of the blankets while mine was now on my jacket. We shared a blanket on the floor. I didn't just breastfeed, I also touched and stroked my breasts gently. While I continued to help her and myself, I think rubbing her breasts had some effect. She sighed and let out a slight moan. "Oh, God." That's all she said. I continued to feed on her breast and slide my hand over her very soft skin. I continued to suck and she moaned. I was surprised when she trembled, then shook, hugging my head tighter to her chest. We ended up spending several hours in the elevator. Despite all this, we became very close. We talked about our lives, our hopes, and our dreams. Even though I was 20 years older, she liked the idea of someone mature and established in their life. I liked her energy and dedication to mother and son. I respected her loss, but suggested that perhaps we could date from time to time when she was ready for it. The voice over the intercom startled us both. "Guys, we're going to move the elevator up about 6 feet, which will allow us to open the doors. Don't be alarmed if there is a sudden jerk." With these words, the elevator jerked upward. We sat and made ourselves look more presentable. She had my sports jacket on over her almost see-through top, and I unbuttoned my polo shirt. The doors were forced open with a crowbar, and then 2 pairs of hands pulled them apart. The cool air felt wonderful. They insisted that we allow the paramedics to do a quick assessment. They checked our vital signs and gave us an electrolyte drink that tasted terrible. We then took one of the other elevators down to the lobby and were greeted by the manager, the doorman, and the customer I was supposed to meet. He was just returning from a late dinner and asked if I could talk for a few minutes. I said, "Let's go to the bar. I'm not ready for another elevator ride at the moment." He laughed and said he understood. It was then that I noticed Miss Pace heading towards the door. I ran after her. I'm sorry, but I didn't want you to leave without saying goodbye and thank you. You literally saved my life." She leaned over as if she was going to kiss me on the cheek and whispered, "We saved each other. Can I call you? I would like that. Here is my business card. I also work mostly from home." I remember you mentioned this. Oh, of course, we talked about so many things. It seems like it was so long ago. I feel like I've known you forever. Then she kissed me on the cheek and said, "Me too." We parted when she approached the door. I quickly said, "I'll call. We can go somewhere. Maybe have a drink." She looked over her shoulder and started laughing. The last thing I heard before the door closed was her laughter even louder, and the words she said to herself, "Can we drink? Milk?" Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.